Alrighty, guys, what is up? What is up? So, hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great 2021 so far. So, welcome to the first week, um, the first Stock Talk week, um, and let's just hop right into it. So, one of the first stocks that many of you guys have requested me to go over is obviously the big runner lately, and it is Tesla. So, right off the bat, I mean, if you kind of haven't noticed, there's been a lot of hype around Tesla, a lot of attention. It seems like everybody's buying into Tesla right now. So we want to kind of break it down real quick. We're going to be evaluating it on a 4-hour frequency. That's what I usually recommend you evaluate on, either a 4-hour or a 1 day. 1 day is a little bit bigger out there. It's a little bit harder to really predict or analyze short term. So that's why I usually stick to a 4-hour. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit easier for you to kind of figure out what's going to be happening in the near term, close, short term. So right off the bat, we're kind of looking at Tesla right now. We're going to see that I mean, it's time for it to pull back. Whether you agree with that or not, whether your emotions are giving into that or not, it would be naive for you to say that it's just going to keep running. I mean, I'm not saying it won't. It might keep going, eventually, but at the fact that the RSI has been overbought for the last since literally beginning of January, that should tell you something, and that should be a red flag for you right now, right off the bat. Considering that we haven't seen much of a pullback at any point from basically, the 650 level all the way to 884. That should really kind of give you a red flag and be like, hey, maybe it's not the best deal, not the best price that I can get it for. And if we look back at history, patterns tend to repeat themselves, but they don't have to. We see that from 415 all the way to 624, we saw a run, and then we saw a pullback happening right over here. And that went from 604 all the way back down to 541. And then we had another run come up here to 668. We saw another pullback. We saw another run to 696, that 700 area. We saw a pullback. And now we're seeing a run up all the way to 884. So it'd be logical to predict that there will be a pullback at some point. That's just phase one, right? And then phase two, we're going to be looking at the RSI. Like I said, it's been overbought for some time now, since basically end of December till now. We're seeing the RSI reverse a little bit. We're seeing a little bit of a red in the after hours after Friday. Yeah, we're seeing a bit of a pullback happening. It's hard to say right now what's going on with Tesla, but we're going to have to kind of see what happens on Monday. If it keeps pulling back, then we're probably going to see a fairly healthy pullback coming in. So it's just a matter of figuring out what's happening on Monday, right? Don't forget to always be watching your EMA, your exponential moving average. If it does break through this EMA, you can expect a much bigger correction coming. But it seems like it's been holding the EMA for some time now. So, it would be pretty fair to assume that it could pull back to about 826 if it's going to pull back, and then see if it breaks or not. So that's what we're going to be looking at on Monday for Tesla. If you're already in the position, obviously you have your stop losses ready. Make sure that you know where your sell targets are. Make sure to know where your buy targets are if you're going to be getting in, and make sure you're having a stop loss, right? And once again, guys, just a reminder, don't be buying into a falling knife, right? If it's falling, don't be buying it in just to get in, just to say that you got into Tesla at a good deal, because you never know, and it could keep selling off, right? So we're trying to wait for that pullback to happen, get back in on that reversal if it's going to be coming up, whether it's going to be at 826 or if it's going to be all the way at 627, or who knows if it just keeps going lower and lower. At this point, it's just FOMO, in my opinion. Nothing's really been happening with Tesla. And the price has just been running, and I feel like a lot of people have just been hopping onto that Tesla wagon just because they're seeing it go up and up and up and up. Ever since it got listed on the S&P and the stock split, it's just been on a rally for no reason. So if we look at the fundamental side of it, what has Tesla done to deserve this price tag, right? Obviously, it's a fairly advanced company, and it's cutting edge technology coming out. They've got great cars coming out. They're into space. They have a lot of things going for them, but they haven't been really delivering at this point. So at this price point, you can say that a lot of these things that have been talked about in Tesla, they're already priced in, right? So at this point, it could go up to 900. It could go up to 1,000. We're just going to have to see what happens on Monday. If it keeps rallying, then the momentum is still there. If it starts pulling back, then obviously we're watching the EMA. And then if it breaks the EMA, we're going to be watching lower levels. So that's kind of the situation with Tesla. Kind of going, on top of that, we're also, I forgot to mention, we're also looking at your MACD, right? MACD also way overextended, and we're already seeing signs of a reversal. We have seen that before right here. The momentum has been slowing down, and it just kept going up. So at this point, we're really watching for a break on the MACD, right? And it should go hand in hand kind of with the RSI. If we see a break on the RSI, and we see a break of the EMA, and then we see a break of your MACD, it's probably going to be coming in for a correction. At this point, like I said, just be careful. It's kind of like it's kind of the same boat as it is with Bitcoin, right? It's been rallying and rallying, and a lot of people are seeing the price movement, right? And this is why people fall into FOMO. They're seeing that price going up, and they're like, dang, I could have been a part of that. What if I get into that now? What if I get into that now? So this is why we're learning the technicals. That's why we're going over these, because at this point, it's due for a healthy correction, right? Whether it's going to be to 828, 827, or lower, right? So you don't want to jump in just to have the price fall on you, right? We're trying to wait for that correction to happen and then get in if we think it's a good time to get into that, whatever stock it could be. But with Tesla, if it's a good time to get in, then it's going to shoot right back up, right? Or it could keep dropping. So you're really paying attention. At this point, personally, I wouldn't be suggesting to get into a long position on this. And I've talked with a few of you guys that, before the day closes, make sure to at least close out half of your position, just to protect your position. You can always get back in, right? But if it sells off and it opens lower the next day, then you just lost, with how the price moves with Tesla, 50, $100 a day, you're going to lose 50, $100 overnight per share, right? So you don't want to do that. So my personal recommendation and the best practice that you should practice is to, at the end of the day, with something this overbought, you want to lock in 50 to 75% of your position if you're really trying to stay in. I would close out the full position, but that's just me. But if you're really trying to be a little riskier and hang on to that stock, just to not miss out, then close at least 50 to 75% of your position. And then in the morning, see what's going on. Get in at a cheaper price, or if it's going to keep rallying, you can always get back in, right? But you want to be protecting your capital, right? You want to have your stop losses throughout the day, and you want to be protecting your capital when markets are closed. So that's kind of the situation with Tesla. The next stock that you guys wanted me to look over is NIO. That is also going to be in the EV sector, right? Kind of the same situation. We're also, once again, looking at it on a 4-hour frequency, right? We're watching our RSI. RSI has been overbought. The last time we saw the RSI overbought up here, we saw a pullback come back down here. And now we're seeing another run up. So once again, it would be, wise to assume that there is going to be a pullback. Also, make sure you're paying attention to your support and resistance levels, right? We had a resistance right up here back in November of last year. That's where we had a resistance last time. It might be, we might be breaking through this one, but it is a, a critical level to be paying attention to. So at this point, kind of the same situation. Stock is overbought. Your MACD still has some room to run. Unlike Tesla, Tesla had a flashing reversal sign on the MACD. This one does not. So we can potentially see some more price movement upwards, right? But once again, paying attention to that resistance level, right? It can always, get rejected at this point and come back down. So we're going to have to see tomorrow morning, once again, and kind of throughout the week, if it breaks above this resistance level, is it going to hold above this resistance level and make this a support level, right? Or is it going to just get rejected and then come right back down? Because by looking at Tesla, we can see that, Tesla is coming down for now in after hours. So we're going to have to see what happens in the morning. If that keeps rallying, most likely NIO is also going to continue to rally just because the entire sector is doing well. It's performing well. So most of the stocks in that sector perform well along with it. On the technical side, if you're not in Tesla or on NIO at this particular moment, I would say, personally, I would not be getting into it. It's your choice, your decisions, but just looking at the technicals, we can see that it's not a good deal. It's not a good place to be hopping into the stock. We're looking for a pullback. We're looking for opportunity. At this point, we don't see opportunity. All we're seeing is momentum and basically a lot of FOMO. And you do not want to be buying into something that has a lot of FOMO and it's way overbought and way overextended, right? This price, it's been holding fairly well. It bounced off. So this is, you've got some support here, and then you have some resistance here. So what we're watching for, what we're waiting for in NIO is we're waiting for that break above this resistance level, because that's the same resistance level we've had for some time. So that's kind of what we're watching on NIO. Once again, not the best stock to be looking at if you're looking to have a return. You could, it could keep going up, but at this point, it's hard to say. You can't really jump in with a good educated position. You're just mostly kind of hopping in and hoping it keeps going. So see what happens tomorrow morning, and then what's going to be happening throughout the week with the price, and then base your decisions off of that. At this point, it's also not a stock that I would be suggesting or I would be personally getting into. So that's pretty much NIO. That's kind of the EV. The next one that I had on my list from you guys is Splk. Splk. So, much better than what we've had with Tesla and NIO, right? So we've got resistance up here. We've got support right here, this level. We've got more support at around this level. And we are looking at, obviously, we're looking at support at this level where that bounce happened down here. At this point, we've seen a pretty healthy pullback on the 4-hour frequency, right? So we are not overbought. We're actually more on the oversold side. So this was a good opportunity. A couple of days ago, about 2 or 3 days, 2 days ago, 2-3 days ago, right? So at this point, we're also seeing a fairly healthy break of the EMA right here on the 4-hour. It's breaking right through that EMA. So what we're watching on Splk is we're watching for that break. We're waiting for a confirmation. So tomorrow, what we're waiting is tomorrow morning, what we're going to want to see on Monday is for it to hold above the EMA, right? And then we're going to be waiting for your RSI to be continuing upwards. Obviously, we're seeing the MACD just flashed, so we're going to be heading up. And then the next level we're going to want to be watching is 172. So this is actually a fairly decent opportunity. Obviously, we're going to want to check on the news. So it looks to be some sort of security company, computing, security, IT, software. Fraud claims against Splk. One thing we could be worried about a little bit is this investigation for fraud claims against Splk, which is this company. So we do have some allegations against this company. So that is something from a fundamental side that you're going to be wanting to pay attention to, because that could have a negative catalyst on the stock, right? And that could have been something, I mean, we had that come out on the 5th, which was back here. So it's interesting to see that the price kind of pushed up. So just because you've seen that news and there is an investigation going on, you might want to be paying attention as to, is this a fake out or is this actually reversing, right? So like I said, once again, pay attention on Monday to see if this holds above the EMA. If it does, then great. It could be a great opportunity for you to run from 164 to about 172. But whatever happens on Monday is really going to be dictating kind of where this is headed. Because at this point, you're about 50-50. You can go to 172 or you can go to 152, depending on what happens on Monday. And if it's holding above or below this EMA, right? So pay attention on Monday. Overall, from a technical standpoint, this does look like a fairly decent opportunity. But the only thing I would be concerned about is that investigation into, the fraud, right? So that's what I'd be paying attention to on Monday. Yeah, overall though, the technicals look fairly decent. This could be a great opportunity. All you got to be watching is to make sure that it's holding above that EMA, and then make sure your RSI doesn't get overextended. You can take a look at it on a closer time frame. If we're obviously trading it on a short term, right? If we're trying to capitalize on a day-to-day basis, we're going to be looking at a 5-minute to a 10-minute chart, right? And we're going to want to make sure, once again, same kind of concept. We're watching it to hold above not just the EMA, but we're also watching it for it to hold above the VWAP, right? We want it to be trading between the middle and the top VWAP in order for it to keep that price action continuing upwards. So once again, see what happens on Monday. Hard to say at this point, but the opportunity is there for sure. It really kind of depends, what happens with this investigation. If it clears up, it'd be fair to say that it could run from 165 all the way up to 225, because that was over there, at that price point. June, July, August. In August, 225, right? So we're looking, I mean, you've got a great risk to reward here. And it's always, you can always hop into this with a stop loss, right? So when if you're trying to hop into this on Monday, you can always hop into it and have a very tight stop loss, 1 or 2%. And if it comes down, you'll get stopped out. You'll lose a couple bucks. If it continues upwards, though, you're looking at, your reward is approximately 36%, right? So we're looking at a 36% reward, and then your risk is about 7.8%. So the risk reward is definitely there, even on the smaller, shorter time frame. If we're looking for it to just bounce back to this level, the reward is 13.6% versus a risk of 7.62%. So it's definitely there. I think it would be a fairly great opportunity to be looking into, keeping an eye on for sure. Yeah, the only thing is just pay attention to what's going on with that investigation. Otherwise, great find, great opportunity. Definitely keep an eye on and be careful with your stop losses and risk management. That's the only 2 things I would be recommending you do if you do hop into this stock. KO, also a great find. We're seeing overall the trend is, upwards. It's coming up and down, but overall we're heading up. It's been holding above the 180-day SMA, the simple moving average, which is this green line right here. It's been holding above this level for, majority of the time. Obviously, the way, what you've been learning is if it dips below the EMA, you sell out. So you should not be riding these runs down right here. You shouldn't be riding them. You should be exiting your position as soon as it breaks the EMA. As soon as it breaks the EMA, that way you're coming in when it comes back up, right? Breaks the EMA, you shouldn't be riding it down. Once it breaks it to the upside, that's when you want to get in with confirmation. And then you'd obviously be riding it down. If it breaks, obviously get out, right? So we're seeing the same thing. It broke, dipped down. Now we're seeing a break of the EMA, similar to what we saw in SPLK. Once again, we're waiting for it to confirm and hold above the EMA on Monday. That's what we're watching. Your MACD obviously just pulled through on Thursday. So this looks good. Your RSI also has been very oversold for the last, 1, 2, 3, 4 days. We saw a huge pullback. So this is a fairly good opportunity. This is what we're looking at. Obviously, we're going to want to set up your support resistance levels. So on the near term, in the last couple of days, we've got a resistance point up here. We've got a support point, I believe, right over here. We've got some support here, which would be acting as resistance. Once again, we're paying attention because we've got that bounce right here. So we've got a support right here, and it's approaching this same level. So once again, see what happens on Monday. If it holds above the EMA, if it breaks this support level and becomes its new resistance, then we possibly and potentially have a move coming right back up to 54.96, that general area, which is a 7.39% return, right? And if you're going to be managing your risk is 3.2%, right? So if you have about a 2%, 3% stop loss, if you want to take the risk on this one and have a 3% stop loss, if it pulls back all the way to this point, then it'll stop out. And then you know for sure that it's going to continue down. Then that's one way to go about it. But just to keep in mind your risk to reward ratio, your reward is sitting at 7.5, 7.6. Your risk is sitting at 3.3, 3.2-ish. Once again, having a stop loss at 1, 2, 3% is a good idea on something like this, because, you'll lose a little bit if you're wrong, but the reward is, it's pretty substantial if you're playing it, if you add to your position. So once again, remember, size in, right? You don't want to go in your full position right off the bat, right? So tomorrow morning, if it's looking good, hop in with, a few shares, 10, 20% of your portfolio or your, investment capital. And then if it breaks this support level, which is the resistance right now, if it breaks above and creates a support level, then you can add more size. And if it continues to, make new higher highs, then just add as it grows. And then eventually you're going to get, to 54, or possibly it could possibly get, have some trouble at this point right here at about 52-ish, just because we have a smaller, less significant support level here, more significant support level here, but that same less significant support level also, holds right here as well. So 2 bounces here. So, but this does look, like a reversed or upside down, head and shoulder pattern, right? So it did break out from this pattern. It did break up to the upside. After this pattern finished up, we saw this pattern end. It broke out to the upside, and then it got rejected. Also, we're going to want to pay attention to some news. What's happening in the news, right? So, yesterday, I believe it was, what's today's day? The 10th. So on the 7th, today's the 10th, on the 7th, JP Morgan downgraded Coca-Cola to neutral from a buy, I believe. And that's over a tax battle, right? So they're having some sort of tax issues that could have an impact on the, share price. So be paying attention to that. But Overall, the technicals are looking fairly good. Make sure you're reading up on the news to see what's going on fundamentally in the company. If there's anything that could pose a threat or be a negative catalyst to, the upside that's going to come from, 51 to 54. Otherwise, your risk to reward is there if you just manage your stop and make sure you're having a stop loss and managing your risk. If it plays out, there's plenty of room for, what was it, 7% return? Yeah, 7.6% return in a day, maybe a few days, while you're only risking 3%, 2%, whatever you're comfortable with, 1%, whatever it is. So that is KO. The next one that we're going to be looking at is ATSG. ATSG, Air Transport Services. Looks like a fairly healthy pullback just took place. We are, once again, back on the 4-hour frequency, doing an evaluation on this one, an analysis. It made a fairly healthy pullback. We're seeing a spike in volume. So what that could mean is there is potentially going to be a reversal at this point, or there is going to be a continuation. Regardless, what we're watching is we're watching the EMA. We're watching for the price to break above this EMA to make its way up. At the moment, though, the setup is looking great. I mean, for the next week, maybe 2, depends how long it's going to take this to play out. What we're watching is we're watching the RSI. It is currently oversold, so it does pose a great deal, a great opportunity from 27 back to 32, creating, 16.9, almost 17% profit, potential for profit. But let's go ahead and create our support levels, resistance levels. Once again, within the server, we do have a bot room. We have the artificial intelligence telling you the support levels, the resistance levels. But if you're doing it just from the eye, you can always take a look from the eye. We're having some support here. We've got support at this level. We've got support at this level. We had support at this level. And we're approaching almost that same level. So it could drop a little bit lower, but it's safe to say that this is a fairly strong support level, right? We also had a jump right up here to this 32 level up here. So we're going to have this as a resistance level for the stock. On the smaller, shorter, time frame, we're going to also do a support resistance breakdown. So we've got some resistance up here when it was coming up, more resistance on its way up, and then we're seeing, let's go ahead and mark it so you guys can see. We had resistance on its way up here, got rejected, came up, got rejected, broke through, came back down. Now it's support. It's acting as support. Previous resistance, now acting as support, right? So now it came down, support, came down, support, held above, came up, rejected, rejected again, and then it broke through this support and it's coming back down to this next support, right? So we're watching these 27.12 level. So tomorrow morning, what we're going to be watching is for it to either come down here, bounce and start reversing, or break through this and continue down to the next support level, which looks to be approximately, it would be safe to say about down here. We're having the stronger support level approximately over here. We got a rejection, breakthrough here, and then it holds, goes up. Then it came back down, it's holding this support level, and then comes back up, right? So this is a fairly strong support level. So if it breaks this level, the next more significant support level that we could be watching is going to be the $23, 23.84, 24-ish area. That would be most likely the next support that we would want to be watching. But as of tomorrow, what we're watching is we have a great opportunity presented by RSI. We're going to wait for this MACD to begin a reversal, an indication of a reversal for it to start turning upwards, reversing upwards, preferably a change of color. If you're having the same settings as I do, you would have a change of color when it's starting to head back up. We're waiting for the RSI to continue pushing up. Obviously, we're hoping that, or we're watching to make sure that, the price either starts heading upward tomorrow or it comes down, makes a bounce, and then heads up. You know, and then once again, we're watching the EMA. We're making sure that it breaks through the EMA before we buy. You know, that's what we want to be watching. And then we'd obviously have the first, you know, the first rejection level or the first sell point for us that we'd be watching would be the $29, $29.32 with about a 4% return. Or if it's going to keep running, what we're going to be watching is the $31, $32 area for a sell target, right? Once again, guys, remember, make sure you guys are having risk management. You guys have your stop losses in place, right? We do not want to be losing money that we don't need to be losing. We're going to be managing our risk and we're going to be protecting our capital. We're going to be taking advantage of opportunities such as this one, such as Splk. We're going to be taking advantage of those opportunities, but we're going to be taking advantage of those opportunities at the right time, right? Just because it pulled back doesn't mean it's the best opportunity right now. We have to wait for it to make the reversal, give us an indication that it's starting to head up. That's when we're going to start buying in, right? That's when that's the opportunity that we're taking advantage of. So those two stocks are looking fairly good. Those two stocks are presenting great opportunity. Tesla and NIO, like I said, they can continue to run, but they're not presenting opportunities such as these. If you want to be getting into great stocks and capitalizing with minimal or smaller risk, then you want to be looking for opportunities such as this, right? Tesla doesn't have this opportunity presented quite yet. NIO also does not have that, right? It's just on a run. We don't want to be hopping into something that's on a run. Obviously, you know, if there's good reason, but if it's overvalued to a point where it's something that you can't understand why this price is moving this far up at this pace, then it's just FOMO. You know, there's a run, you know, that's, you know, a positive bullish pattern with, you know, a positive fundamental side to it, such as good news or something that happened, or you know, they're putting out more sales or something else is happening. And then there is just irrational price action, such as what we're seeing in Tesla, right? Where it's just running up for no good reason, just because a lot of people are buying into it. And that is FOMO. That's the difference between a bullish pattern and just FOMO. People that hop into FOMO patterns, they end up losing. Remember that, guys. Not saying Tesla's not a buy, but just be really, really careful and be really, really tight if you're gonna get into something as risky and as, you know, irrational as that, if you might say that. The next one that we're gonna do is Atsg, right? The next one that we're gonna want to do is Plug, PLUG, I believe, or PLG. Plug. Alrighty. Plug Power. I believe that's the one that you guys wanted, right? PLUG, Plug. Overall, it's been performing fairly well. It's been holding above the 180-day simple moving average this entire time, right? So we're obviously seeing, you know, support. This didn't really quite come down all the way to the SMA, but it did have, you know, support holding a little bit higher, came down much closer to the SMA, and it's having some support. And then we had a strong shoot up, right? So I'm assuming that the spike in price happened mostly because of this new partnership announcement that they're saying, partnership with SK Group to accelerate hydrogen economy expansion in Asia markets. So I'm assuming that that's what triggered this run up. Overall, I believe that it was a great opportunity to hop in on this break. So on Tuesday, it was a good opportunity to hop into this. So once again, guys, the way we want to be hopping into this, we're jumping into the stock. If we're finding a good opportunity, we're buying in on the break into the EMA, right? So what we're seeing here, the price was below and then it broke above the EMA, or it was about to break into the EMA, and then in after hours it broke above. So even if you missed this entry right here because you weren't too sure, which would be the safest possible thing to do, then you could have gotten in at this point on Wednesday. And then if you would have hopped in on Wednesday, you would have just held this all the way until it breaks below it. So at this particular moment, when we're looking at it on a 4-hour evaluation, the news is about, the news came out. When did it come out? Came out on the 8th, right? Which was 2 days ago on Friday, I believe. The 8th was Friday, correct? Check that. Yeah, so the 8th was Friday. The news came out on Friday. From a technical standpoint, from the fundamental side, that's what happened. That's why it made that run up, right? But then we're gonna be looking at the technical side, right? Let's go ahead and look at multiple days. So it's making higher highs. So we really don't have anything to compare it to over the last, 6 months to a year. We have nothing at this point. So it could continue to run. We don't have a support level that we can base it off of, right? But what we do have is we don't have a resistance point to base it off of. But what we do have is we have support levels we can base it off of, right? And what we know from previous history and previous patterns is every time there's a run up, it comes back down to the SMA. Run up comes back down to the SMA. Run up comes back down to the SMA. Run up back to SMA. Run up back to SMA. Now we're seeing a run up, and what is logical to expect would be a pullback, right? A return back to the SMA. That's just from that point. It could continue to run next week just because of the news. So it's really something you have to pay attention to on Monday. If it keeps rallying on Monday strong, then it's a good time to hop in maybe. But you're going to be putting up about 10% risk down to the EMA if you're really going to hold it that way. 1 to 2% is my suggestion. That's what I suggest, and that's what I would teach you guys. So keep your risk very, very small and minimal. See if it keeps running. If it keeps running on Monday, it could, but it could also not. You really have to see what the first hour to, half hour to an hour is of the day to see where that price action is going to be going. From the technical side, that's just out of the momentum, pure momentum, because we're seeing a spike in volume right over here. We're seeing the volume was all the way down here, and now we're seeing a massive spike in volume. So if the volume is there tomorrow, if it keeps going higher, then the price can continue to go higher. If the volume is very minimal and low tomorrow, then it's probably consolidating and it's going to be heading back down. So what we want to be watching is obviously what happens in the first half hour to an hour of the day to see what's going on. We're going to want to be paying attention to volume. Your RSI has been overextended for the last, it's safe to say the last 2 days. You could say 3, but 2 days, it's been way, way, way up there. So from a technical side, this is not a good opportunity to get into plug. It's already late. You missed the boat. It could go up a few more bucks, but is it worth making a couple bucks and then risking, a healthy pullback to that bottom support of about 30%? That's how much you're going to be putting at risk for whatever else that it keeps going. So it doesn't look like the best opportunity. Your MACD is flashing a change of color, indicating a reversal, right? So RSI is not looking good. MACD is not looking good. And from the spike of this price, you've had a doji flip right here. So you're going to want to see, it's not looking good on the patterns as well. I would, it would be fair to assume that there's going to be a pullback happening at the very least, either tomorrow or next week, unless there's more news and the momentum keeps up and the volume keeps up. So as of now, it's not the best opportunity. But if you're really trying to get into that, have a stop loss. I would keep a very tight stop loss, maybe 1%. at risk, but it's just not the best setup. The previous few stocks were better setups than this. This is not a good opportunity. So let's go ahead and hop into the next one. That's going to be Baba. And I believe this is our last stock of that you guys have asked for. So so from this, we saw a bounce here at this support level. The RSI is looking fairly healthy. It's broken above 50, right? And 50 is about our middle ground, right? So it's broken above 50. It's broken the EMA on Friday. And what we're going to be watching is, obviously we've had resistance at this point. We've got a rejection. We've got a rejection here. We're approaching that same level. So we're going to be watching 239 for a break above that level. And then we're going to be watching the SMA for a break above the SMA, which is 255. The next level we're going to be watching is going to be this support level. So let's go ahead and add these support levels. Got a support level here. We've got a less significant support level right here. So we're watching for a break through this support level, which should be approximately at the same-ish area as your SMA. If we're seeing that break, we're watching this next level and so on. As of right now, not the absolute best opportunity in the short term. You could make a few bucks here, a few dollars. But overall, as a whole, what we're looking at in a big picture is we're looking at the big picture from here all the way to, let me go ahead and get the right tool. We're looking from here all the way back up to 319, which is about a 37% return, right? And then what we're putting up at risk where we've got support is we've got 7.9% of support at support. So the risk is about 8% and the reward is about 37%. That's what we're looking at. So longer term, this is a fairly great opportunity. This is also one of the stocks I have in the now watching call out section in the Discord. So you guys can read up a little bit on that. Long term, this is a great opportunity. What I would say is, like I said with the previous one, size in small, add a small position. If you're trying to get into this, because we've seen a break above the EMA, now we're waiting for confirmation. We're waiting for it to come a little bit down, confirm that it's going to hold it, and ideally break through the support level here, and then start making higher highs. So it would be a fair position to make if we're hoping to go all the way to 319. If we're willing to hold it for that long, we're obviously seeing a slight, consolidation or flattening out of the 180-day EMA. So it could possibly be starting to head up. It's something to pay attention to. Your RSI is looking fairly healthy. Your MACD is looking fairly healthy. Looking like it's on the upside. Same thing with your RSI, and your price action is holding above your EMA. It's made a bounce once. It's come down, made a bounce, not at the very line, but in that same general area, and it's coming right back up, holding above the EMA. As long as it's holding above the EMA, we're going to be heading up. So at this point, you could even have, a 2% from current price to the EMA is about 1.7. So if you have about a 2% stop loss, or a 3% stop loss, if you're going to try to wait longer, then you're only putting at risk 2 to 3% on a small position, right? We're going in small, we're sizing in, we're going to be averaging up on this. If it's going to continue to go up, then we're waiting for a continuation upwards. So that's kind of the situation with this stock right here with Baba, that is Alibaba. Overall, big picture, this is a great opportunity. Once again, saw huge pullback. Now we're seeing, a 36% possible reward, potential reward with only a 8.5% risk, right? Great opportunity. So you guys want to be looking for opportunities such as this, right? We want to be looking for something that's presenting a great opportunity so that we can get in at the right time and then just ride it up to the very top, right? Or, you know, to this level or to this level, regardless, we're just riding it up instead of catching it on the way down and hoping that it turns around, right? So that's it for this week, guys. Remember, if you guys have stocks that you guys want me to go over on a technical side, fundamental side, go ahead and drop them in the Discord. All right. Make sure to drop them into the trading floor. And make sure to, you know, let me know what else you guys want me to mention in these stock talks. What do you want me to go over in more detail? What do you want me to break down? Overall, this is just a general analysis of these stocks, something to be paying attention to throughout this next week. And then make sure to be writing down stocks that you guys find, that you guys are interested in, that you guys want me to review for, you know, next week. I'm going to be trying to put out these videos either Sunday night or Monday mornings. So that's the approximate time that these videos are going to be coming out. Drop your comments below as far as what you guys, you know, what are your thoughts on these stocks? Are you thinking about taking a position on any of these stocks? Have you gotten a position already? You know, just let me know what you guys are in, what situation you're in. And if you guys have sessions, the one-on-one sessions with me throughout the week that we review whatever stocks we review, feel free to ask questions about, you know, the stock talk or the stocks we reviewed within those sessions as well. All right, guys. So have a great week. Stay safe. You know, manage your risk, keep your stop losses, make sure you know where you're stopping out and you have those stop losses in place. Manage your risk, pay attention to the patterns, pay attention to what we're learning, apply what we're learning. It's really that simple. If you're not applying what we're learning, if you're taking high risk trades, then you're going to be putting yourself at it. You're going to be exposing yourself to potential losses instead of, you know, waiting for those proper opportunities, looking for those proper opportunities, applying the technicals that we're learning for you to be able to capitalize on those opportunities that you found, right? So have a safe week, guys. Trade safe, trade smart. Make sure you guys are, you know, applying yourselves. And good luck, everybody. Good luck.